Welcome to Elmhurst Now. I'm Ken Bartels, your host, and tonight we'll be discussing community services, specifically community services provided by Metropolitan Family Services in Elmhurst. And to do that, I have three guests related to that organization. I have Teresa Nyhill, the Executive Director, Angela Benson, the Program Supervisor for Senior Services, and Patrick Whiteside, a board member with MFS. Welcome to Elmhurst Now.
Thanks for having us, Ken.
I want to start just by talking a little bit about Metropolitan Family Services in general, not Elmhurst right now. How long has MFS been providing its services, and what's the scope and breadth in terms of where you're providing them?
Metropolitan Family Services was formed in the 1800s after the Chicago fire, and we were one of the relief and aid societies to help rebuild Chicago. And over the years, we did things like provided charitable giving to families who were struggling when there were crises. We helped to craft the first Social Security Act. And then in 1930, a resident in DuPage named Edith Bruckner saw a need in the DuPage County area, and she started the DuPage branch of Metropolitan Family Services. So we've been over 150 years in the metro area and over 80 years in DuPage County. We serve all of Metro Chicago with offices in the city and a number of neighborhoods like Roseland and Inglewood and Southeast Chicago and the Belmont-Cragen area. And then in the suburbs in Southwest Cook County, DuPage County, and up in Evanston and Skokie.
So broadly stated, your mission would be?
Our mission is to provide and mobilize the resources necessary to strengthen families and communities. We really believe that if we can intervene with families and help them to, as our tagline says, to learn, to earn, to heal, and to thrive, that we can build strong foundations for communities and therefore build strong communities.
Patrick, as a board member, how'd you get involved?
Well, my company had a long history of being involved with Metropolitan Family Services DuPage, and we had a long-standing board member, Sandy Allison, who was on the board for a very long time and left with his retirement. Our company stepped away from it for a bit, and about 4 years ago, I was reintroduced to the agency and had the opportunity, and have recently just started my second term as a board member. So I've been with them about 4 years now.
Well, we've got an executive director and a board member, and then we have a programming supervisor. So how long have you been with MFS?
I've been with Metropolitan Family Services for a little over 3 years now. And I've worked out of the Elmhurst office, and the Elmhurst office has a really wonderful program for older adults and families. We do in-home senior counseling, and we do a lot of caregiver education, caregiver support, and just caregiver. We have our in-home senior respite caregiving program. So what we like to do is wrap services around that caregiving family so that they can build the skills that they need so that caregiving doesn't destroy the family. It helps make the family stronger.
So Teresa, the governing structure then is obviously there's staff, and we'll talk a little bit more about staff in a few minutes, but multiple boards.
Yes.
So a strong emphasis on volunteerism.
Very much so. We have a corporate board made up of about 65 members from major corporations that kind of govern our overall structure with all of our community centers. Each of our community centers has a board of directors as well. We do in DuPage. Pat's one of those board of directors. We have about 34 members on our DuPage board, and they do fundraising, they provide oversight and guidance to the programming that we do. They serve as ambassadors in the community. They also have voting. We also have voting membership on the corporate board as well. So we have someone who participates in the strategic direction of the organization, someone who participates in the overall fundraising, someone from the DuPage board who participates in the investment committee of the board, and we make sure that we have the voice of DuPage County and the clients that we serve represented on that board.
What's the funding structure like? Patrick, can you comment on that? Or?
Well, we have various funding sources. I have the opportunity to serve on the development committee, which helps raise some of the funds for Metropolitan Family Services DuPage. We'll talk a little bit later, I'm sure, about the gala, but gala is our largest fundraiser. We also have we raise funds through our boutique resale shop, Treasure House, which is located in Glen Ellen. We have various other sources, individual givers, of course, corporate givers, and then foundation givers as well, that we focus on throughout the year to try and tell the Metropolitan family story and create those connections that start maybe with a small gift but turn into maybe a gala visit or a visit to Treasure House.
In Elmhurst, are there specific services provided beyond the senior programming that you mentioned?
Yes, we do. We have a parent liaison program that is in the Elmhurst. It's in the Early Learning Center at Madison. It's in the middle school, Churchville, and then in Fisher Elementary School. And what that is, it's a program that bridges between the home and the school. So there's a parent liaison at every school that functions in many different roles in that school. One role is parent engagement, and that parent liaison is calling the other parents who have children in that school, trying to get them involved in activities of the school, seeing if there's a specific need that that family might need, and they can provide like a computer tech class one night or something like that. These parent liaisons were identified by the principals of each school. So it's a way just to promote families and families getting involved in the schools, because when you have families involved in schools, you have strong schools. And then we have Head Start and Early Head Start, not necessarily in Elmhurst, but they're right outside of Elmhurst. And Head Start serves children ages 3 through 5. It is a program that is designed to identify maybe deficit areas in a child, so you can build on those skills. So when kindergarten comes around, the child is ready to roll in kindergarten and there are no more deficits. And then our Early Head Start program, it works with children with teenage mothers or pregnant mothers from 0 to 3, children from 0 to 3. And that's more of a home-based program where someone comes out 1 to 1.5 hours a week and works with that family. Addison has our new Head Start building, our Addison, and that's going to be an Early Head Start building, and it'll be our first site for Early Head Start. And the exciting part about that building is there's room for growth there, so you could add 2 more classrooms. And then in Bensonville, we have Tioga Elementary School. We have a Head Start site there. And Head Start's also in 9 other communities inside DuPage County.
Let's assume for a moment that at least some folks in our viewing audience haven't had to access Metropolitan Family Services, haven't had to access community services at all. So they're hearing about what you do for the first time. But they may be sitting there saying, how does Metropolitan Family Services interface with government programs, be they federal, state, or for that matter, even local government programs? I'd like to hear from all three of you about how you see that interface between the organizations, governmental and private.
Well, I'll start. In Metropolitan's, the DuPage budget is about $11 million a year. Some of that is through state and local contracts that we have with government entities. So they will
government
outsource
entities outsource to you.
To us, right. And so that might be programs to preserve families who are formed through adoption and keep those kids in those adoptive families. It might be children who are in foster care to keep those kids in that foster care placement rather than bouncing around. It might be mental health services, all of which we do not deliver directly in Elmhurst, but we serve a number of Elmhurst residents. We serve about 1,000 Elmhurst residents annually in the services that we provide at Metropolitan Family Services, and that's about 1/10 of all of the clients. We serve a little over 10,000 clients annually through our DuPage Center. So that's a pretty good representation when you think that there's 33 communities in the county and about 1/10 of our clients are coming from Elmhurst. So we will oftentimes partner with government entities to provide a part of a service that they may need for some of their own clients. An example of that would be a family self-sufficiency program that DuPage County runs to help people become more self-sufficient increase their job skills, become more independent in their living skills and their money management skills. We provide a lot of mental health services for that population. The county subcontracts with us to do that. We also provide family counseling and parenting education for that population. So that's one example. We also work collaboratively with a number of other nonprofits and social service agencies. So, for instance, it would be very common for us to work with a family in family counseling, let's say, and to also refer them to People's Resource Center or a food bank, Northern Illinois Food Bank for food, and to an ESL program that Literacy DuPage might have. So we're always looking for ways to, as Angela said really eloquently, wrap services around families. We really want to help to shore up those families so they can function as high as they possibly can.
So in your experience, Angela, if a family has a need, are they going to have another need?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's part of what we do through any of our counselors, whatever program you're working in, whether it's children's counseling, adolescent counseling, senior counseling, adult counseling. We do a part of that is case management. And when we're doing that case management, we're looking, what is the need of that family? What are the other needs that that family needs to shore it up? Is it self-sufficiency? Is it learning how to be self-sufficient? Is it economic stability? Do they need something like money management that's going to come in and help them learn what it is to do a budget, learn how to make a budget, craft a budget, and then run with that budget and stay on target? So, like Teresa said, we collaboratively work with partners all over DuPage County. So we can pick up the phone and call an agency and refer this client to that agency so we can bring in some needed services. Through Elmhurst Senior Services, seniors call us every week, help me understand my Medicare. I don't get this. And we'll make an appointment, they'll come in, we'll call the 1-800 Medicare number, put them on speakerphone, so you got the senior, you got us, we can interpret for them, and that's a really benefit to the senior, because Medicare changes daily. Who doesn't need help with it?
Well, and tax season and,
Oh, yes.
and all of the complexities of that, and not just seniors. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
So the case study, if you will, then it may start at point B. It may start with some kind of a family counseling issue and turn into assistance in financial planning or how to even get a bank account, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
From a board member perspective, Patrick, what kind of vision do you see applied by the staff as it relates to delivering these services?
Well, in my experience in the past 4 years, I'm just amazed at the staff and Teresa and her leadership, how they think about the services they deliver in the challenging environment we have with funds being as they are, somewhat in the state being challenged, and having to really make sure that those services that they're offering are what's needed. I think I've seen, at least in my experience, we've done a lot of education with the board to help them understand the variety of services that are offered across DuPage County, because it isn't just one thing. It isn't just child care and early child care. It is elder care. It is adoption preservation. It is mental health services. And looking at that wide variety of services and making sure that you're doing it the right way, making sure that when it's done, that it's accountable, that there are outcomes that we can measure, and that we can make sure that the processes we put in place, the funds we're raising, are going to the right thing that is best for the community. And in my experience, in the short time I've been here, Metropolitan Family Services has done a fantastic job of that, of making sure that the outcomes are measurable, the processes are in place, and the business of providing those services is done in the best way that it can be. And I think at least in my experience, I've seen a lot of recognition for the good work that we've done as an organization because of those processes. And we're looked up to in the state as doing a great job at the things we do.
Well, and as a organization with a strong board and strong representative nature on the policy side, then you get the administration and the coordination and then the delivery. That's why when Teresa told me that the two of you would be joining her, it's a complete picture. It's a complete picture. I'm going to go back to services, though, and I mean, difficult question, although maybe I think it's difficult and you don't, but the degree of unserved need. And I know some of that's got to be linked to funding, some of it's got to be linked to people just not wanting to step forward. But your sense of the degree of unmet need. Angela, maybe you want to go first.
Well, in the senior community, the degree of unmet need is huge. Even here in Elmhurst, there is a lot of seniors whose families have moved away from them, and they're living here alone now, and they're in their late 80s maybe, early 80s maybe. And that adult son calls, that adult daughter calls. The last thing that mom or dad wants to say is, I'm stumbling a little bit, this isn't working well for me, because then the fear is, oh Lord, here they come and I'm going to a nursing home. So they don't reach out to their families. So they're alone, they're isolated in their homes. And so when you have a program like ours that can come in, and that's one of the beauties of our program, we're funded to do home-based services. So we come to you because that breaks down the barrier of service delivery. You don't have transportation. That's okay. We come to you. And then we work with you in your home and we get to know you. And then we figure out and we put those other services inside and help link you to them that's going to make you more self-sufficient in your home, which is where you want to be.
Teresa, perhaps the larger perspective on unserved need?
Yeah, the unserved need is pretty great in DuPage County. The demographics in the county have changed dramatically over the last 10 years or so. In fact, in the last census, the county population would have decreased had it not been for immigrants coming into the county. And normally immigrants come into the city of Chicago and then transplant out here. But this last wave, probably in the last 5 to 7 years of immigrants, they come to DuPage County as their first stop. And many of them don't leave. So there's also been a large increase in the level of poverty. There's about 200,000 kids under the age of 18 in DuPage County, and 10% conservatively are living at 100% of poverty. So the federal government says in general 100% of poverty is about $22,000 to $23,000 a year for a family of 4. That's a really low income, particularly when you live in a county like DuPage where there's not a lot of affordable housing. And so the need is great. We're about 33% of folks in DuPage County are estimated to have an untreated mental health issue, so depression, anxiety, or more serious and chronic issues even. At any one time, just at Metropolitan Family Services, we have a waiting list of about 80 to 90 families waiting for counseling or mental health services. And in our early childhood programming, we have a waiting list that could be anywhere from 10 to 20 children per site that we have for classrooms. So there's a great need. We talk about it a lot with our partner organizations. Probably one of the greatest needs right now is services for seniors. That's a growing population, and mental health services across the county. So.
Patrick, you mentioned earlier you're on the development, which translates to fundraising committee.
Yes.
That's got to be daunting. I mean, I've had the great opportunity to talk to folks with the food banks, and they tell a similar story, of course. DuPage County, I mean, come on, still one of the richest counties in the United States, and certainly in Illinois, and yet hunger and the need for not only the delivery of food, but just the process and the access to food. From a fundraising perspective, do you get people looking at you like DuPage and community services and unmet need?
Absolutely. I mean, that is a challenge for the area we live in. And I think that's one of the challenges we have as a development committee and Metropolitan DuPage as an entirety is making sure our story is out there, because it's not a story that we share a lot. It sometimes can be looked at as there's many facets of it. It can be a complex story. So we do spend a lot of time working with the other board members to be comfortable and be able to talk about the work that we're doing in all those aspects, early childhood education, elder care, mental health services. When you talk to other businesses, other corporations in DuPage County, I think the number of opportunities to understand that story is great. So there is an untapped opportunity, from my perspective, to go out and make sure that that story is getting told. And once that story is told and someone comes visits us, whether it comes to the center in Wheaton, joins us at our gala to hear more of the story, to meet some of the people involved in the organization, they find out that it's a great organization with a lot going on and a need that the more you talk about, the more you understand that need that is unmet. And the opportunity is there to talk about how we can meet that need through volunteerism, through funding, through going to things like the gala and other events like that.
We're going to take a short break. We're going to talk about that gala, and we'll talk about volunteering and how people can get involved and learn more when we come back. This is Elmhurst Now. We're talking with Metropolitan Family Services. We'll be right back.
Visit Elmhurst.org to explore the new City of Elmhurst website. Find out the latest Elmhurst news, pay utility bills and parking tickets, report concerns, and much more. Elmhurst.org is an ideal way to discover what Elmhurst offers your business, your family, your life.
Welcome back to Elmhurst Now. We're talking with representatives of Metropolitan Family Services about services in Elmhurst and throughout the county and beyond, for that matter. We had just touched on volunteerism, and Patrick, you mentioned how you got involved, but I'm wondering what you feel is kind of the spirit of the volunteers, or for that matter, other volunteer stories that you've heard on other board members and other people involved.
Well, I think the people who get involved and get to learn who Metropolitan Family Services are a very committed group. In the short time, 4 years seems short to me, I think, because I must be having fun. This time is flying. But it is a committed group of individuals who really believe in the Metropolitan mission and believe in serving the clients that we have in all those various aspects. I think it's a group of people that once they understand what the work that Metropolitan is doing, look to find ways to add to that. We have a great group of women in the women's auxiliaries that we partner with that help run Treasure House. I've never seen more energy around what they do. One of my fellow board members, Pat, comes and talks about their work every month, and the energy that they bring to their volunteerism is fantastic. The other opportunities that we have throughout the agency, and whether it's packing backpacks for the school year to start, or getting involved in just understanding some of the other work and visiting one of the sites, it's always a joy to see. And the energy that you feel in the office, even with the challenges we have, I think the energy of the people and the mission that we're doing, it comes back again and again as a really great positive for all that work. So the volunteers, you can't draw a box around them. They look different. They come from different places. We do have in common, we're all in DuPage County. Some of us are from Elmhurst. Some of us are from Wheaton or St. Charles or the other communities around the area. If you had to pick the commonality, it's around the mission. Once you understand the mission, understand the work that we're doing, it is a committed group, and it makes my job as a development chair easy to help figure out what's the right way to bring those resources to bear on the problem and find new ways of asking for resources.
Teresa, what happens tomorrow if all the volunteers disappear?
Oh, my goodness. That would be bad. That would be really bad. We have volunteers who are not only board members, but we have volunteers who work in our Head Start classrooms. They help the teachers. They read to children. They help get snowsuits on and in the cold weather and all of those things. We have volunteers in our in-home respite, senior in-home respite program. Those volunteers come in once a week and they provide respite to the caregiver. They might read a book, sit and talk, watch a movie with the senior who needs caregiving, so that caregiver can actually get out of the house or get to a doctor's appointment or something. We have about 70 volunteers in in-home respite. We have about 150 volunteers who staff our resale shop. We couldn't run the resale shop without them. So we, at any one time, we have about 200 to 300 volunteers working on behalf of Metropolitan Family Services DuPage and some of our programs, as well as our ambassadorship and our fundraising would go away if we didn't have those committed volunteers.
Well, and the raw people hours that are
it's
involved.
unbelievable, yes.
volunteerism rather broadly defined, of course, as people giving back to people. And it's amazing, once again, when you talk, not only the conversation we're having here, but you talk to the food banks, you talk to a lot of the other social service agencies, the specific disease charities, they all, every one of them. And you know, the raw numbers of volunteers, even locally, would I think stagger most folks.
Yes. Yeah.
You mentioned that the seniors program services specifically offered in Elmhurst. Are there other locations within the county that offer different things, or is that normal that senior services are in Elmhurst and X services or somewhere else in terms of access?
Well, I think, senior Elmhurst is a longtime partner with Metropolitan Family Services, and I think the city of Elmhurst was one of our first partners.
They were.
And so we've had this long-standing relationship with the city of Elmhurst to have an office there at City Hall and provide services for the seniors living in Elmhurst. And I've talked to Marilyn lots of times about it, and the city believes in the seniors that live in this community, and they know there are a lot of seniors that live in this community and they need to provide services for them. And so this is one way that they do it. But other areas, like, well, for Metropolitan, we offer services for seniors out of our Woodridge office. Kathleen sees some seniors down there, and then out of our Wheaton office. And but Elmhurst is really our only other partnership like we have.
Partnership with a city. But all of our array of services from early childhood through older adult services are offered in every community in DuPage County. About 60 to 70% of the services we deliver, we don't do in an office. We do them in the home, we do them in a school, we might do them in a community center or something like that. So if anyone's interested in senior services, they just call our central intake, and we make sure we find the best office or home-based service for them, where a support group might be that we're offering for them, and we link them with those kinds of things. That's true for any of the services we have. We're really partnering with that client to figure out what their need is and how we can best serve them. And when we can't, we make sure they get linked with another organization that has what they need. So.
We talked about a gala in the first half, just touched on it.
Yeah.
And galas and fundraising and special events go hand in hand with private organizations. But tell me a little bit about the gala. Let's start with its history. How old is it? What is it? What's it called?
Okay. Now the days all run together for me. So how many years ago? I don't know, maybe 13, 14, 15, something like that. And the gala is a really fun evening. It is our board event to do fundraising. They do lots of other things to raise money, but this is their big event. It's a black tie optional kind of event with lots of fun auction items, live and silent, with a couple of fun games, something like heads or tails, where you can win a prize, and tables get real competitive with one another about who's going to outbid each other for things that they want. It's a time when 350 to 400 folks come together to really support the organization. This year it's going to be on May 6th at Bobac's in Woodridge. And we always have very strong support from the community of Elmhurst, so we're very grateful for that. Besides Patrick on our board, we have Shirley Myers, who's on our board. We have Pete DeCiani, who's on our associate board. He's a past board member, and Tom Marcucci, who's a past board chair. So we have very strong. We have, and Larry Carroll, who works at the college. So we often have sponsorship from the college. We have sponsorship from some of the businesses, from the bank in Elmhurst, from the hospital, and we're just really grateful for how involved Elmhurst is in supporting that event and in supporting our services.
So Patrick, what's involved right now? You know, it's February, so May's a little ways off, but what's going on right now?
Well, we're in our planning stage right now as we're making connections to those that had joined us before at the gala. From the corporate perspective, we're looking for our corporate partners who may have sponsored a table last year and seeing if they're interested to make sure they got the date saved. We have that postcard out there so they know the date and have it on the calendar. And then we're looking for additional corporate sponsorships. People would like to have a table and get to know the organization a little bit more. Beyond that, we once again walked through our board members and making sure that each of them are aware. Our board is very involved in this, as Teresa had mentioned. I don't think there's a person that sits in the monthly board meeting that doesn't have the sticker that says I'm on a gala committee, one or the other. Whether it's the raffle elements, whether it's the donations for the different
Auctions.
Thank you. The auctions, or it's just helping to plan the evening, making sure that the entertainment is whatever it's going to be. So there's a lot of involvement right now. So we are talking about it bi-weekly. I think we meet every 2 weeks. One of the subcommittees are not figuring out how we're getting ready for that big day in May. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, but the end result is amazing. It is a great evening to enjoy.
Improved economy helping out at all? Or does it really matter when you're talking about these kinds of services?
I don't think it matters. I think it might, everybody has their own constraints in a poor economy. You may have their challenges, but I think when people understand the value that their dollar provides, whether that comes through the gala or comes through an individual gift, it may just be harder to get a couple more. That just makes our job that much more fun because we get to connect to some more people. If we don't have enough, if we're short on sponsors, we'll go ask a couple more sponsors. It's an easy story to tell, and I look at the challenge it puts in front of us to help grow the membership and grow the supporters of Metropolitan. It's an easy job because it's just about telling our story, about sharing that story, about sharing the people we help, the elders, the elder care that we do here in Elmhurst, or the young. The early childhood education, any of those items. When you start to talk to somebody about them and show them what we're doing, I think it's very easy to get them to come visit us at the gala. And maybe they can't go to the gala, maybe they can't sponsor a table, but if they just want to join one ticket, maybe buy a wine raffle ticket, which is a very fun part of that evening, or even just understand that what we do and understand more about what we are and share it with somebody else. I think that's a great opportunity.
What kind of dollars are we talking about raising in May?
I don't recall the target off the top of my
For
head.
this year, I think it's about 175,000, and I think we were close to that last year. Our net was, so.
Okay, so it's a significant evening by
It is a significant evening.
By all counts. And
Right.
once again, these volunteers stepping forward and filling in the gaps of leadership and organization. How involved does the staff get in the gala?
Well, we have a couple of staff whose jobs are to support the board in the work that they're doing for the gala. And then the evening of the gala, we have our leadership team, of which Angela is one. They're doing a meet and greet and talking about programs and talking with our guests about how they can better be involved and support us. They might be running for the wine raffle or the auction or checking people in or things like that. But we really try to have those folks that are closest to the programs be there so that they can share information and answer questions for guests and help them understand why they're there that night. It's great that they come for a good meal and a lot of camaraderie and some great auction prizes, but we also want them to know what they're supporting when they come. So.
Special programs, is there anything special with this gala? I know galas sometimes have niches within them.
I'm a little behind in figuring out what that's going to be. We're still vetting that with the board right now.
It's only February.
Yeah, but we do. We usually have one program of ours that we may have particular needs in from a funding standpoint, and we will have a program auction. So we'll ask folks to please raise their paddle. $500 will support X service in this program, $100 will support this, and it's amazing to me how generous people are. It's not uncommon for us to raise $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 in the program auction where people are just given $100, $500, $1,000 here and there to support a program. It's pretty nice.
The power of a collective group coming together to support a common mission, and then those paddles start to go up.
They do.
With some frequency.
That's right.
What's the gala feel like to you?
Well, this will be my first year to go
First
to
one.
the gala, so I am very
Well, then you're gonna
excited about
learn.
it. I am. I'm very excited about it. You know, it's an honor to work for Metropolitan Family Services, and when you see all the good work that we do for families in the community and how we truly make a difference in a family's life, and when you can get up in the morning and go to work for an agency where you really know that that's what you're doing, it's just a good thing, a very good thing.
What's the quickest, easiest, best way for folks watching this program to get information about your gala?
Well, the quickest way is to go to our website, metrofamily.org. It's under events. You'll see the DuPage Center and the other centers there and the other events that we have as an agency, but the details are there. When we get closer to the gala, we'll have the wine raffle tickets can be bought online, or if you'd like to buy a ticket to the event or even sponsor the event, all that information is on the website.
And switching back to the real purpose that we're here, anyone watching that has that need that we talked about, whether it's for their child, whether it's for themselves, whether it's for their parents, whether it may be in the mental health area or some other, what about them? What's the best way for them to start a relationship with you?
Well, the first thing I would want to say to somebody is, I've never met somebody in my life who at some point in their life doesn't need help from somebody. It takes a lot of strength and courage, but make the phone call, go to our website. You can call our intake coordinator who will help you sort through what's going on and whether we're the best organization to help you or not. And if we are, we'll get going on that. And if we're not, we'll link you to where we think would be a better fit. And you can do that by calling our general number, which is 630-784-4800. You can also go to our website, which is metrofamily.org, and then you'll see a tab to click on the centers, and you can click on DuPage, and it'll show you all the programs and services we have and give you some more information about how to connect with us. What's important, though, for people to know is that we're really about helping to empower families. So I don't want people to not call because they're concerned about the cost. We have a sliding scale. Some of our services are actually no cost to folks. We work with you based on your family circumstances. Everything's confidential. It doesn't get shared with anyone. And we're really here to help you be the best you can be, whether that's the best employee at your job or the best in your marriage or the best parent or do the best you can in school if you're a child. That's really what it's all about.
Well, I'm hearing the undertone of respect. Respect for the client, respect for, as you said, everyone somewhere along the line needs someone. And if the underlying mission is respect for the process and the client and helping, then there's a comfort level, and I'm hearing that too. I've been to several of your galas. I know all those folks you mentioned just a few minutes ago. I know how involved they've been over time. So the story of Metropolitan Family Services is one of help and assistance and, if you will, relating to creating relationships. One of you said that just a few minutes ago. We're out of time. And so I want to thank all three of you for coming. I wish you great success with the gala. I hope the program, this program helps to bring some people out. Hopefully it does. But I thank you very much for joining me this evening and good luck for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been Elmhurst Now. I'm Ken Bartels, and we'll see you again. Thank you.